I worked as a 911 dispatcher for 3 years, and I thought I'd heard it all. I worked as a 911 dispatcher for 3 years, and I thought I'd heard it all. Domestic disputes, car accidents, even prank calls from bored teenagers. But one night, at exactly 2:11 a.m., I answered a call that should not have reached my desk. The system showed no location, no caller ID, and no routing code, something that just isn't supposed to happen in America. And when the voice on the other end finally spoke, it said my name. My name is Evan, and at the time I worked the overnight shift at a county emergency call center in rural Pennsylvania. Night shifts were usually quiet. Just long stretches of silence broken by the occasional drunk driver or a faulty alarm. But that night felt different the moment I sat down. The air in the room felt heavy, almost electric, like the static right before a big storm. At around 2 a.m., all three of my co-workers stepped out, one for coffee, two for a smoke break, leaving me completely alone on the dispatch floor. And that's when the call came in. There was no ringing tone, no flashing location grid on my screen. Just a soft, sudden click in my headset. I followed my training. 911. What's your emergency? At first, there was only breathing. Slow, wet. It sounded way too close to the microphone. I repeated the line, a little firmer this time. 911. What's your emergency? Then a chilling whisper came through the line. You weren't supposed to answer. I froze. Calls can glitch, sure, but this one didn't even show an error code. It was a digital ghost. I asked for the caller's location. There was a pause, and then the voice said, I'm not in your jurisdiction. That made no sense. Calls don't route to us unless they're inside our coverage zones. I tried to trace it manually, but the system lagged, then locked me out completely. Sir, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. If this is a prank, it cut me off. You live on Pine Ridge Road. White House blue mailbox. My stomach dropped into my shoes. I hadn't updated my address anywhere. I'd only moved 6 months earlier. I quickly muted my mic and tried to signal for help, but just then the room lights flickered and died. The backup generator hummed to life, meaning the whole building had just lost power, yet my single console stayed on. The voice continued, completely unfazed. This call wasn't meant for the living. It slipped through. I asked how it knew who I was. The sound of breathing on the other end twisted into something that might have been a chuckle. Because you listen. Most don't. Then I heard another sound, layered beneath the breathing. It was crying, a woman's voice, whispering faintly, like it was miles away. Please, he's still here. I instinctively jumped to log the call, to create a record, but the system refused to save it. No timestamp, no recording indicator. It was like the call never officially existed. I demanded to know where they were. The voice replied calmly, where calls go when no one answers. Suddenly, the crying stopped. The voice leaned closer, the whisper now right in my ear. She picked up. So now you're connected. My screen filled with blinding static, and then for half a second, I saw something that looked like a call log. It showed hundreds of unanswered 911 calls stretching back decades, all of them marked missed, and then one entry flashed at the bottom. It was my address, with tomorrow's date, time 2:11 a.m. I ripped the headset off my head just as my coworkers rushed back in, asking why my console was screaming with feedback. To them, there was no call, no power outage, no ghost log. I went home completely shaken, barely slept a wink, telling myself the stress had finally gotten to me. But the next night, at exactly 2:11 a.m., my personal phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Instead, I heard sirens wailing outside my house. When I stepped onto the porch, police cars were parked out front. An officer approached me and asked if I was okay. He said a 911 call had come in from my address, a man breathing heavily, a woman crying, but no voice on the recordings, just static. They asked who else was inside. I told them I lived alone. The officer frowned and said something that still keeps me awake at night. Then you should know. The call was time-stamped for tomorrow. I quit my job 2 weeks later. And now, every single night at 2:11 a.m., my phone lights up. No number, no voicemail, just a missed call from someone who keeps dialing, hoping I'll answer again. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.